Good.
Welcome to the City of Eureka Springs Bozeman Planning Commission meeting, Tuesday, April 12th, 2022. We have two public hearings first. The first one is 24 Hale, application to continue the existing conditional use permit for one tourist lodging at 24 Hale by Catherine Earls. Catherine, if you'd like to come up to the stand. Microphone.
Okay. I feel like I'm in court.
So you're not going to do any changes to the property or anything?
No.
Okay. There is one public comment on that. I'd like to read that. This is submitted by Rowan Daughtery and Wallace Wood of 26 Council Street. Please be advised that we have no objections to a transfer of a conditional use permit for one tourist lodging at 24 Hale Street by the applicants Dean and Catherine Earls.
Are we in the...
Is there any discussion? Do we have any questions?
Yeah, the only thing I've got, Catherine, had you lived here a while? Have you been here a while, or are you just moving in?
I have been coming to this area for 30 years. I do not live here. I live in Texas. I've owned property here before, but not ever as a nightly rental before. But, you know, I've just been coming to this place for 30 years, and it just holds a place in my heart, and I just love it here.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to make a motion that we approve the transfer of the CUP at 24 Hale for tourist lodging.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Kaylee,
Hey.
papers for you.
Melissa,
She's
I've
down
never
there
seen
somewhere.
you do it in so few words.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, and so kindly.
We'll leave that for another day.
Catherine, if you would like to get with Kylie the next day or so, this is your approval of the permit.
Okay.
Or if you'd like to sign it now, you can take it.
Come on up.
Yeah, it's our parting gift.
Go ahead and sign that, and then I'll put the copy in the file, and then you take the right one. Welcome to Eureka.
Thank you very much. Thank y'all.
Whereabouts in Texas did you move from?
I'm from Sherman, Texas. The
Okay.
area very close to the Oklahoma border.
I'm from Garland, so it's,
I'm close to about an hour from
yeah, so I thought, yeah, okay.
Thank y'all.
Excellent. All right, well, that makes 80. You're welcome.
Easy
I
peasy.
was joking with the mayor about one thing in Texas day, and he said, what are you
Yeah,
four
yeah.
people going to do?
So good to meet you.
Always seems to get more and more Texans.
Yeah.
I almost got run over today with a Texas plate when I was walking around downtown.
Do you like? Okay. Good. Yeah.
The next item up is the 23 Hillside,
Yes.
an application to transfer 2 LNC units of B&B lodging, continue the existing conditional use permit for 3 units B&B lodging, conditional use permit for wedding establishment at 23 Hillside.
Yeah. If it doesn't go to
John and Donna Schulinger.
whoever the next buyer is, would have to do the same.
Are they here?
But you're good. Thanks.
Are they not here?
Trying to.
I don't think so. Evidently not.
Kylie, are they coming in video?
They were on Zoom a
Oh,
second
there was
ago.
somebody there on Zoom earlier.
Oh, sorry. They were on Zoom a
Oh.
second ago, but I don't see them now.
Okay.
Oh, we lost them. I saw somebody on Zoom a minute ago. I assumed that was them.
Okay. Is it possible to get them back?
Call them to see if they can get back in. Maybe you're using Cox again or something.
I know. I hate it.
Oh, there they are. Here we go. Here we go. There we are.
Hey,
Hey.
hi.
All right.
Are you Donna?
I think you're on mute.
Yeah, your mic is not on. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
Are you Donna?
That's Donna.
Yeah, barely. But are you Donna? Okay.
Okay, okay.
All right.
So Donna, tell us what you want to do. Is there an existing wedding license with this now? Oh,
Looked and said there wasn't.
There we go.
okay. All right.
That there was not a wedding license?
And they were conducting weddings, okay. Okay.
Kylie, is there any reason that a wedding license CUP can't be approved on this property?
No, none that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Kylie, are there any other wedding establishments, CUPs by there?
I don't have that information in front of me
Okay.
right now. I apologize.
Okay,
I know that there is Angel at Rose Hall.
okay,
It's like half a block down and up
Okay.
the hill.
okay,
Same street, though.
okay. Then we would probably have to give a variance if we do, because that isn't the rule, you can't have a like business within 200 feet?
Yes, that's the rule.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure about how far it is. It seems like it might be more than 200 feet away, but
Okay,
yeah, I'm not sure.
okay. How many guests are you planning, like, having?
For weddings,
Yeah, for a wedding, please.
I would say probably maximum 60. I mean, that would be, pretty tight. But most of the weddings that John has now are, 15, 16 guests or fewer.
Is there, if I remember right, is there not parking, a parking pad in the back?
Yes. So there are 4 city spaces in the front of the house, and then there are 6 private spaces in the back. And according to John Speed, if they have a larger wedding, 40, 50, 60 people, what they have done in the past is work with the family to shuttle people down from the free parking at the music pavilion, which is not far away. Or they've made arrangements with the depot owners to park there.
Yeah, the railroad depot.
I'm sorry, Donna, how many parking spots did you say?
So there are 4 on the street in front of the inn.
Okay.
And 6, believe that 6 private spots in the back.
Okay.
The ones in front are city parking?
Yeah.
No, they're her parking.
They're assigned?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's the spaces.
Okay.
I actually don't believe that the 4 on the street are assigned to them.
So they are just free-for-all city parking?
Okay,
First
okay.
come, first
Yes.
served. Okay.
Okay.
Right, and actually there are, I think, 2 houses in front of the inn, but there's nothing from the corner, like, if there's like vacant land on both sides of the inn. So, I mean, of course, I've been there about a dozen times in the last month, and there's always space there.
Right.
Kyla, do you know if Hidden Springs is a grandfather?
Part of it is, Ann.
Part of it is?
Yeah, and part of it we'd be transferring, it's grandfather, and then we'd be transferring the 2 cups.
Yeah, 2 units are legal non-conforming.
Right.
3 units of B&B lodging are under a CUP, and then they're also requesting a CUP for the wedding establishment.
Okay. And then we would have to do a waiver to grant a wedding CUP?
Right. We're also going to have to do a waiver on the parking, too, if we decide.
Well, if he's a grandfather, that's waived already.
Yeah, but, right, but not, he does not have a wedding cup,
Right.
and he hasn't. Okay, there's the history, no mention of wedding venue operation in this property file. I'm not against having smaller weddings, but weddings with 60, I feel, Donna, is really going to have an impact in the neighborhood with the parking. Would it be, I'm willing to go to a smaller amount at a wedding.
Okay, yeah, so, I mean, 60 was just like the most I could imagine would fit in
Right.
the space, but, I mean, I would be happy to cap it at 45 or something like that.
So when you talk about doing the weddings, are you talking about doing the reception also, or just the wedding?
I mean, possibly the reception as well, yes.
Our parking code says you may have 4 guests for every 1 parking. Now, I'm not necessarily looking at the parking that you have, but that would mean if you would have 45, that would be basic.
Right, so exceeding the 10 somewhat readily available spaces, then we, according to John, what he's done in the past is just work with the family that they understand that they can't just park anywhere, that if those spots are full, then they have to go to, he said that they go to the music park or the Chamber of Commerce parking lot, and then just a family member with a minivan would shuttle them back and forth. Or also they could make an arrangement with the train depot, which is actually walking distance. Is Marilyn there? Marilyn Hunt?
No, she is not.
Oh, okay.
Donna, is it possible, I mean, given this time, just for the transfer of what we've got on currently active with the B&B and the transfer, is it possible to remove the CUP wedding, or is that part of what you've got to have done?
I mean, that's basically, part and parcel of the deal. Like, it becomes a lot less profitable if that, I mean, that's about 20 to 25% of his revenue. And that becomes a much harder deal for me to agree to with, without that extra income.
Sure.
I really feel for that situation. However, I'm super concerned that somebody was legally operating a wedding venue without license. And I
Yeah.
don't know that it's the right decision to just blindly transfer that. I mean, I'm a business owner. I fully support
Right.
like that transfer, but it concerns me that we might have businesses doing this, trying to do a real estate transaction and falsely advertising the real estate deal too. That's not correct.
Right.
You know.
When is your, like, closing date?
It's a week from tomorrow.
Oh,
Is Ann Armstrong there?
no, she is not.
Yeah, I was just asking John via text, and he said that he says there is most certainly a wedding permit, and Ann Armstrong could confirm it.
Why don't we
And she's probably already gone home, so I couldn't get a hold of her.
table this to-
Well, that would be for the business license, not the CUP.
Right,
Okay.
okay. Would you all consider, I'd like to get some of this straightened out, would you consider a special meeting so that she, if we decide, she can close?
It'd be another public hearing.
Do we have to have another public hearing? Kylie?
I don't believe so. I believe this would be the public hearing, and then the special meeting would just be for you to make your decision.
I think that if we postpone this and did a special meeting, I mean, maybe the beginning of next week or something, and come to us with a plan on these weddings, and let us look into how this wedding license was obtained or what it says. The only other thing I would be willing to do is to go ahead and approve the transfer of the B&B and tourist lodging and hold off on the wedding CUP.
I'm sorry, when did you say next week you're closing?
On Wednesday,
Okay.
the 20th?
And could we possibly do it this week?
If we got all the information, yeah.
Okay.
Kylie, can we get it that quick?
I'm going to have to check the other city meeting schedules.
Okay. I don't think there's anything on Thursday. Or we could do it. Ron, how many meetings do you have tomorrow?
I can't do it tomorrow.
Okay. All right, that's out.
CAPC's at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
We did it at 4, maybe.
Okay, well, two people can't. How about Thursday?
Thursday, I make plans to be in Fayetteville.
Okay,
I got
okay.
Kylie, can we not do it?
It could be just an audio recording for a special meeting.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say. Could we
Yeah.
just do the audio recording for the one item?
Yeah, we can do that.
Let's do, can we do Thursday?
I can do Thursday.
Sure.
What time Thursday? 4? 3?
I can do 4.
Four's
or 3,
4
whatever.
o'clock? Is that good, Kylie?
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah,
Donna, would that work for you?
What time did you say?
4 o'clock on Thursday.
Thursday.
4 o'clock on Thursday. Yes, I can make that work.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for your patience.
So is there anything that I need to follow up on in the meantime?
If he's got any document, we'd like to see this documentation on the weddings that he's been doing. That would be most helpful.
Okay. Yeah, he said that he has a permit at the home on the wall or something like this, so I mean, apparently it's easy to get to, but let's see, there was something else that was catching my mind. I guess it's, the only other thing, like the only other explanation that I could think of is possibly, I mean, he's had this in for 10 years. Have there been any changes in ordinance in that time that would have, he might have had his permit before the changes in the ordinance?
Not to my knowledge. I knew Gosh, has he had it that long? I knew the previous owner, and I don't believe she was having weddings. I don't remember him ever having a CUP or a license, but
It doesn't mean it didn't fall through the cracks.
it doesn't mean, yeah. And so we'll get to the bottom of this, and then, do you want us to go ahead and approve the transfer of the cup today?
Sure, I would appreciate that.
Okay.
Can I get a motion?
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the 3 units cup for the B&B at 23 Hillside.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we're approving this, and on the special conditions, I'm putting that the wedding CUP's been postponed
Right, correct.
until we can meet on Thursday.
Yes.
Donna?
Would it be valuable at all for you to be able to speak with John?
Sure,
Well, I think what we need to do is we need to look at the documentation.
right, and we need,
I mean, he's certainly welcome to be here at 4 o'clock on Thursday.
Okay.
Thank you, and we'll see you on Thursday.
all right.
Okay.
Thank you, Donna.
Okay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Okay, that concludes. That concludes our public hearing for today. So if we can do a roll call, please, to establish a quorum.
Question. We're voting at the public hearing for these items before we actually have a quorum established. Are we okay on that? Normally we had the public hearing, then we had the item on the agenda on down. Does it matter, or?
That's the way it is on the agenda.
I know, I just didn't,
And it makes sense, but we probably wouldn't have had the meeting if we hadn't had the quorum.
yeah. Okay, I'm just,
Yeah.
Sorry.
Chicken or the egg.
no problem. Ann Salee,
Here.
Melissa Green,
Here.
Fergie Stewart,
Here.
Joe Hill,
Here.
Megan Morris,
Here.
and I'm Tom Buford, present.
Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everybody's had a chance to look at the minutes. Any concerns, Megan?
Megan. Yeah, I saw, it said on here that the tree cut was approved for my application. It was not approved.
So under new business, item number 1 needs to be was not carried.
Okay. Are there any other?
I move that we approve the minutes as amended for March 8th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We don't have anything on the Board of Zoning. We don't have any, we do have Planning Commission parking study discussion. Kylie, are you going to come down here for this?
No, this is really just for you guys. Any ideas, any thoughts about solutions, questions? I know that this came up at council last night, and it was actually requested that Ann and I attend the next council meeting to discuss parking study and potential solutions.
Was there other information that was discussed as far as solutions they might have come up with or anything?
No, really what was discussed was the potential for either assigned spots by address or streets that are residential only with signage and a hang tag, which are things that you guys have also talked about.
I think it'd be pretty easy to go ahead and approve some sort of signage. I don't see why we're not doing that.
Yeah.
I didn't hear you, Megan.
I think it'd be pretty easy to go ahead and approve some sort of signage, like whether it's, this Elk Street or something, residents only.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in favor of signage at this point. I'm not in favor of any kind of parking sticker.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things you also have to look at is in front of the Episcopal Church, in front of the Unitarian Church. They've got signs, you can't park there on Sunday even though it's public parking. I mean, do we have them take their signs down?
No, sure. So my guess is that that signage would have to be followed by an ordinance by city council, correct?
Yes.
Thing about it is that who's going to enforce it?
That's an issue.
Well, I think we talked about this before. I think let's start with neighbors. I really find that tourists, when they see signs, they tend to obey and abide by them.
I agree.
I think, like, we'll use my street as an example. Down by you, Ann, going down past Ernst and them, there is a section of street that could be 4 or 5 parking spots. The street's wide enough.
But the problem is, then it makes it a one-way street. You have to be able to get to, I mean, we had this happen on Saturday. They had a huge group of people at the church. They
Right.
parked all the way down to Connie and Ernst.
Well-
And it became one way, Melissa.
Right, but it's basically one way up by my house. You can't get 2 cars down there at all either. It's,
No, I mean, you have to, granted, we have to pull over.
right.
But I think to start with, to put signage, residential parking, 8
But-
PM to
But,
I think it's a
8 AM.
good idea.
yeah,
I think we
Yeah.
ought to take this like a bite of an elephant, one bite at a time.
Well-
And I think the signage is a start. And it's been, I mean, how long, this problem's been going on for at least 35, maybe 40 years, I'm
Well-
sure, right? As long as the car's been invented.
my thoughts with what I was trying to bring up was that area would be a sign pointing tourist parking, because they park there when we have a parade anyway, so. I think we need not only residential parking, but I think we need directional signs for the tourists where there is parking. Because they came, 2 girls parked along the side of my house it's actually a closed street, and somebody owns a garage back there and they use it. Well, they parked right in front of it, and my husband had to go out and say, you really can't park there. And they were just kind of dumbfounded. I don't know why they couldn't see that it actually is a driveway, but whatever. So I do think we need some directional signs. I think we're going to have to start allowing people to put parking pads on their side and back and front yards. I just say let's start with the public, the residents, and let them kind of police. And where we have people that are not using the parking that they are required to use, I think we have to get really strong. We're past, it's going to be okay or tourist season is over. We have people living here, and every person that lives here has a car. If there's 2 people in the house, there's 2 cars. If there's 4 people in the house, there's 4 cars. So I think we have to be really tough.
Yep. So,
And maybe that means sending a letter to all these people that have tourist lodging, including those on White Street. And let them know that their, their tenants are going to, or their guests are going to have to park on White Street.
Yeah, unfortunately for that, they have no, the one on the corner by me is C1. They have no parking requirements.
No, but it'll be residential parking for Elk Street only.
Right. And we'll have to let them know, but they can kind of park.
But it also has to be enforceable. That's another
Yeah,
issue, Tom.
right.
On Mountain Street, when you go up Mountain Street, their parking is marked, delineated with the yellow lines. When you get to Eureka Street, it stops, it is not marked from so
Right.
or Eureka to White. There's usually, a lot of times, plenty of parking. It wouldn't hurt, but to mark, delineate parking spaces from Eureka up to
On Mountain
White there.
Street.
Right.
Yeah.
And a signage pointing down,
so-
tourist parking.
yeah, so,
I mean,
do we need a motion to take it to city council for an ordinance?
no, they've invited you.
We can just take our recommendation that we start with signage, and, I think Elk Spring, Owen is getting really bad.
Mountain, Washington, there is no parking on any of the streets starting at Kings Highway down to Washington. So those people have put parking in their front yards, and we're going to have to start working with that. And
That's a HDC issue, though.
right. Well, it's a city issue. The HDC only approves the design concept.
It says in their guidelines you cannot park in your yard.
Yeah.
So whoever, I don't want to step on your toes.
No, but they approve design concept. It's city, and I don't know what the city says about it, but city law, I think, probably has that in there. But,
Can we make a recommendation to the HDC that they think about this? Kylie,
Right,
can we,
well, and
have
the
them
city.
think about it? Yeah,
Yeah,
in the city.
and the city.
Because I think front yard parking can be made beautiful if
Well,
we did
yeah,
rock walls or
I mean-
something, and we could actually start creating more space
right, well,
if people wanted to.
we're going to have to. I mean, it's to that point. And also the enforcement.
Yeah, that's,
And, yep, and the thing is if they don't want to abide by it, we have what is known as the revocation hearing, and
that's
we're
right.
probably going to have to start doing that.
yeah.
You're talking about the B&Bs and things.
And the multifamilies,
I agree.
yep.
So you and Kylie will take our recommendation to the city council? Okay.
Would you all mind clarifying exactly what your recommendation is?
As I understand it, it's to put signs up on certain streets that say specifically residential parking, whether that be given an hours, whether it be 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. They may not want to put that on there. They just may say, we'll do residential parking.
Right.
Based on the data provided in the parking survey, do you
Correct.
prefer any of those restrictions over another?
On weekdays, I'm just going to use Elk Street. On weekdays when everybody goes off to work, there really isn't a problem. I mean, a lot of the tourists from Oscars come down, but everybody's at work. But once after about 3 o'clock or on weekends, it's a problem. So we're going to have to, I think, maybe take our surveys out and kind of look again and see what we're going to use for hours.
Yeah, one of the questions was on Elk Street, somebody wrote in, are the 2 on-street spots owned by the church really owned? I mean, if this is public parking, then can they really tell people they have to move on Sunday?
Well, I think there's an ordinance actually on those, that is the one, you're talking about Mountain Street and the other one? I thought those were,
this is- we're
because the
talking
police
about-
told me there was ordinances backing those signs up.
And I don't know, there could well be.
Okay.
Well, the Unitarian sign hadn't been there that many years.
Okay.
And are they open, are they conducting services?
Yeah, they have been.
Okay, because I haven't, it used to be Elk Street was just flooded with,
It's not as many. I don't know really what was going on Saturday. I don't know I didn't know any of the people, whether it was a memorial service. But they were parked on the sidewalk all the way down to Connie and Ernst's house. And that used to be the way it was when church was there.
Street,
yeah,
some coming and going
yeah,
signage.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that because enforcement's going to be a big issue.
Right.
We don't want people calling 911 because somebody's parked their car there. And if it's I would rather boot somebody's car than give them a ticket.
Right. But who's going to take the boot off?
Who's going to pay the ticket?
Yeah, I think this is kind of our first round, and let's see.
Let's just see what they say about this.
Let's see what happens with this and see if we get,
Test the water.
see if we get some kind of,
The other thing we might consider, this doesn't really apply to Elk Street, but it would apply to Spring Street, that in certain areas, we also put up a sign that says no tourist lodging, parking, and direct them to the end
right,
of Spring Street and put a sign down there that says tourist lodging parking.
right. Yeah, I think we're just going to have a lot of signs, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
it's kind of come to that, and
Right. Yeah. Well, it's that, or I remember a lady, I think on Owen, that was putting up cones on her own and blocking her own little spot. So you can't, I mean, you got to have some kind of reasonable.
Public hearing, the city council, on Pine Street, and the guy sat there and said he did that in front of the city council. Nobody said a word, that you can't do that.
Can't do that, yeah.
There's tons of people that do it, though.
yeah,
Yeah.
there is
Everywhere.
tons of people. I've actually moved the cones on Pine Street and parked there.
I mean, he made a comment, I'm doing that,
Yeah.
and nobody on city council, well, you can't do that, that's not right.
Right.
And, so I think us saying we won't put signs everywhere, so what,
Yeah,
the tourists got to park somewhere,
right.
Well,
So I guess motion would be that we take this to city council with our first recommendations of signage as a start. And we start small.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, we're saying we won't put signs up on Elk and Pine and Owen, all those streets, no,
Washington, Elk, Owen, Mountain, and Spring.
Right.
I think a lot of tourists park on Owen Street, when there's lots going on,
Right.
and it's really close to what lots going on. And I think you're gonna hurt the tourists, because a lot of people on Owen Street have off-street parking.
Yeah, but it'd just be during the day. Well, no, it'd be at all times unless there's a time limit on it.
Is there a problem on Owen Street? I never seen, there is.
There is, we've got people that live downtown that park on Owen Street.
Oh.
We've got people that work downtown that park on Owen Street.
Yeah, well, working and living downtown and parking on Owen because there's nowhere. The living, I don't have a problem with. The working, they're going to.
No, they live downtown
Okay.
and
but-
park on Owen.
But you said, and the working people.
And then people that work downtown park on Owen during the day,
Right, right. But they're not residents.
but they're not residents.
But
And
the
unless,
tourists are there between 8 and 5. If we say no parking between 8 and 5,
that's why I think there should be a time,
Yeah, we're going to have,
and maybe not on every
cancel.
street. They're more likely to park on Owen. They don't park typically on Mountain and walk down,
yeah, no, they do park on Mountain.
do they?
Yeah, that's a hot spot.
see, Owen's kind of unknown to the tourists because it kind of like drops off there, It's
Right.
Why it's not quite as bad as.
Right,
Elk
and it's one,
Pine.
it's one way coming down, so
yeah.
they have to start at the top.
I think if we discourage workers from parking, we might have a problem too, because businesses are already having trouble getting employees. If we
Yeah.
start making it more complicated, that's a
Right.
huge snowball.
Right. Well,
Maybe we give the recommendation, we put times on it.
yeah, times and, let people start exploring, their properties for parking and,
And maybe let the city know, hey, if there's owners that see an opportunity to make parking, in a situation, be flexible or hear it out, because we're going to have to adapt.
yeah. Well, you got a good start.
So, the motion is to take it to city council, to recommend signage, maybe recommend signage on certain streets, designate hours,
And enforcement.
and enforcement.
I'll second that.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, commission business, B&B contact info verification update is in your packet.
Yep.
So it looks like the Smiling Pines is closed. And the Hockaday Cottage does not have a license. Have we gotten hold of anybody that's renting that, Kylie?
That property is currently in probate still.
Wow.
Yeah, but I think it's on Airbnb.
Oh, they may not have just updated it. I know Virgil passed away a few months ago, and I don't know if he was running it himself. Do you know that it's actively booking?
Ozark Mountain Rentals.
Oh,
It's called the Tiny House.
I'll look into that one, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Kylie, is Smiling Pines, have they closed down?
Yes.
Okay.
She sold that, I think.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All righty.
Okay, discussion of home occupations, minimum maintenance, and property management. So when I went to the HDC workshop, they are in the process of revisiting this 2201. And I think they're doing section, I think it starts at 5.0403, is that right? 0407. HDC's, they've taken that section and they've redone the language on that. And what I talked to them about is on the first page, it talks about what a nuisance is. And I did not like the fact that the definition of public or common nuisance is such an inconvenience or troublesome offense as annoys the whole community in general and not merely some particular person. To constitute a public nuisance, there must be such a number of persons annoyed, a simple majority of adjacent property owners with 200 feet, that the offense can no longer be considered a private nuisance. I don't think it's right to pit neighbor against neighbor. I'd like to just strike that whole
Yeah,
paragraph.
it's so non-specific as to, that's an interpretation of what's a nuisance.
I mean,
Yeah.
right.
It is, and I know that we had kind of been taxed with this before, to look at what other cities were doing, and I did, and then I kind of backed off because I thought that HDC was going to take the whole thing. So, and I know, Joe, you had expressed an interest in this before.
Yeah, I had saved part of that on my phone. Is that Nashville?
I think it was Nashville. I was just going to say, would you like to bring something to the next meeting on that? Or send it to Kylie and we can print it?
Sure.
Let's do that. And as I understand it, Kylie, this is going to be for non-contributing, right?
Yes, this will just be generic all over the city.
Good.
Not necessarily only non-contributing, but this is just kind of the umbrella.
And has HDC shored up their recommendations yet?
Yes, they're finalized. Unfortunately, the timing's not great, so it's just kind of in limbo right now.
But did they vote on it?
Yes,
Could you send that to everybody on the planning commission?
yes.
So we can kind of see where they went with it and know that we're going to have to blend in with that? Anybody else have anything on that?
Well, if you recall, we had approved the church lodging a while back on College Street. And I think we talked about, I don't think it wasn't a condition of approving it, but we did mention the fact that you have to pass a commercial site to get to the church lodging on College that has a pickup truck full of junk in the front yard and paint cans and a jacuzzi tub and all that. And we asked the applicant to please contact Bobby Ray and get that straightened out, since it was obviously a nuisance, because I didn't think y'all have tourists driving down a church lodging passing a bunch of junk. And nothing has been done. That's been several months, years back or whatever. So, you know, we can do all this stuff and go through it and all, but if we don't enforce it, it's just, you know, kind of a wasted effort. I mean, you know.
I agree. I think that it should be such that any citizen, I mean, the way I understand it now, Kylie, is with this new complaint form. It's submitted to your office. You forward it to whatever department it needs to be forwarded to. The name that's the complainant is redacted, and they go out and look at it. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
So if somebody makes a complaint that you've got garbage in your yard and somebody has to go out there and deal with it, it's either there or it's not there.
Okay.
And you have to deal with it. And if for whatever reason that person feels so compelled that they want to FOIA and find out who made the complaint, fine. You know, if it's an invalid complaint, then hopefully we'll have a way to
I mean, it's so simple
address
now
that.
to take a picture, you know, and run it off the thing and attach it to the complaint. I mean, you can look at it. And
Right.
Just
Absolutely.
you know,
Right.
what it is.
Okay, discussion of B&B compliance with commercial building code. On page 444 of our books, it talks about building permits for bed and breakfast. When a residential building is to be modified for use as a bed and breakfast, all wiring and plumbing must conform to the applicable sections of the municipal code and conform to the requirements for commercial building.
It's in your packets as the very last page.
Right there, number
That's
4.
what I thought, yeah, you're looking right at it. Yeah.
Okay, Ann, what's the situation with this?
Well, my question is, do you think this is something we need to add when we're approving new B&Bs?
I agree. I think that's one of the things that I've been concerned about, is that, you know, maybe a building that historic building, but at the same time, you've got now multiple people coming and going. It's got a different type of requirement than a single residence. So I think, yeah, I think it's a safety issue at least. So I think
Is this not already covered by Bobby Ray during his inspections?
I don't know, but
Well, and I think it should be on, if somebody deciding to make it either a duplex or a multifamily also.
Right, if it's converting the building, that makes
Yeah.
sense, but
Right.
if you still have to go through inspection.
Basically a commercial use.
Right.
right. Well, again, and I was talking earlier about that fire we had on Washington Street. There were no firewalls between any of those apartments.
Right.
So yeah, so it was a grandfathered situation, but that would render, if a building was modified now going forward, if we were enforcing this, then that would solve that problem going forward.
So do you think we need to do a ordinance modification where we expand it, not just for bed and breakfast, but expand it out? Because, I mean, even a tourist lodging CUP doing business in a residential area as a commercial business.
Right. They would basically, if for some reason they're not up to code and they have an existing cup, they probably are going to be able to get by, but we still have in our ordinance that you can apply, and if you meet requirements, you can be accepted for a bed and breakfast or multifamily. And we can make it where if you're going to, basically restore something into that it should meet all codes.
We work on some language for that, Kylie, and bring that back at the next meeting?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda setting. So we're going to keep the discussion of B&B compliance with commercial building code. We're going to keep discussion of home occupations, minimum maintenance, and property management. I guess we're going to have a special meeting on Thursday with one item.
4 o'clock.
Does anybody else have anything?
I'd like to add for the next meeting a broadband discussion, because that consultant's supposed to submit his report to the Congress in Arkansas on the 24th of April. So hopefully we'll have an idea of if we're going to get additional broadband at that time. So on
Okay,
May
good.
10th, I should know that.
Okay, cool beans, good.
Okay.
Can I also suggest that we talk about some of the bed and breakfast wording language too? I'll bring some ideas, just as an owner myself in operation. Some of the language such as like must be on site to greet people. I think COVID has changed the game, so to speak. A lot of us are moving to electronic locks. People show up at 2 a.m. If we give them adequate instructions, do we really have to be there to shake their hand and say, let me guide you to your room? Can we kind of work on some of that wording?
Video
to be,
panel.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, as long as somebody's living there.
Right, and
Yeah.
obviously there's that rule, but, some of that wording, I feel like we shouldn't have to stand there and greet them.
No.
We could put that on there.
Some of
bed and
them don't
breakfast
want to be
language.
greeted
They
either.
don't, and they're very angry when you try to, so.
Okay. Anybody have anything else?
No.
Commissioner comments? Joe?
No.
Melissa?
Well, not tonight.
Tom?
No comments.
Fergie?
Yeah, I've got one. I posted on Facebook, but I wanted to commend a lot of the businesses that were open on St. Patty's Day, and the other ones that we've had a lot of increased tourism revenues up. Also, I want to commend the Parks Department. The work they've done on Magnetic Spring is really nice. I looked at it today, as well as they're getting the statue repaired. So, excellent work. That's what I got.
Megan?
I don't have anything else.
But no, I thank you all for what you do. We have one opening left on Planning Commission, if anyone is interested. With that, a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.